into match number 6, we go now over in Africa for the World Cup in 2026, with some nations on the brink of qualification and some nations on the brink of elimination. What am I talking about? Well, I'll tell you next. That's right, folks, back once again with another video today. It's all about match number 6, that's right, in Africa, and we'll get to it in a second. Of course, if you're new, where you've been, smash your subscribe and you want to subscribe more. Blackburn Rovers, World Cup qualification, and World Cup itself, 2026. We've got it all here under one rooski. That's right. Some nations took a big step towards qualification last time around, but we're going to bring you a bang up to date with the latest round of games in just 1 second. That's right, of course. Big shout out to the members. Big shout out to the patrons. You know who you are. Your one-stop shop for world football is right here under one rooski. What we're going to do now, though, is revisit the games that are already taking place, and, of course, look forward to the next round of games. So here we go. All right, then, folks, let's turn the clock back to this last round of games, which were these, of course, on the screen right about now. It's a bit hard to see, I know, but I'm going to try and change it up for us in this next one. So sit tight, hold on as I go through with them, showcase you what I predicted. So Sierra Leone did actually come out on top with a 3-1 win over Guinea-Bissau. I went the other way. Burkina Faso with a 4-1 win over Djibouti. I went with a 3-0 win. Ethiopia did lose to Egypt 2-0 as predicted. The Democratic Republic of Congo coming out on top with a 1-0 win over South Sudan. I went with a 3-1 win. Togo and Mauritania did end up 2-2 in the end. I went with a 1-1. Sudan lost to Senegal. Actually, Sudan picked up a cheeky draw against Senegal 0-0 in the end. I went with a 2-0 away win. Zimbabwe and Benin ended up as a 2-2 draw. I went with the home win. South Africa did beat Lesotho 2-0 win. I went with a 2-1 win. Nigeria with a 2-0 away win against Rwanda. I went with a 1-0 win. Cameroon could only draw against Eswatini. That's a surprise result there. I went with an away win. Cape Verde did beat Mauritius 1-0. I went with a 2-0 win. Libya did only draw with Angola 1-1 in the end. I went with an away win. The Zambia-Eritrea game and the Tanzania-Congo game have been cancelled. I think maybe both nations have been excluded or have removed themselves from the qualification phase, so bear that in mind. Nigeria lost to Morocco 2-1. I went with a 2-0 win. Gabon did beat Seychelles 3-0. I went with a 2-1 win. My boys Kenya came out away with a 3-3 thrill against Gambia. I went with a 1-1 draw. Meanwhile, Ivory Coast did beat Burundi 1-0 win. I got that one spot on. Mozambique with a 3-1 over Uganda. I went with a 1-1 draw there. Algeria with a 3-1 away win against Botswana. 2-1 win for me. Guinea did only drew with Somalia 0-0. I went with a 2-0 win. Tunisia did beat Libya, or Liberia, shall we say, 1-0 win on the road. Got that one spot on. Meanwhile, Malawi lost to Namibia 1-0 win there. I went the other way. Equatorial Guinea with a 2-0 win over Sao 2-0 winners there. I went with a 2-1 win. The Central African Republic did lose to Madagascar 4-1. I went with a draw. And Ghana did beat Chad 5-0 win. And Mali coming out on top with a 3-0 win over Comoros. Wow. So, with that all said and done, this is what the tables look like right here, right now. Now, there has been 2 games already for this coming match week. It is a bit tight getting the African predictions out, but we've got the predictions, or we've got the scorelines in here, and the tables have been updated for those. We'll get to those in a second, but I'll show you. Anyway, currently as it stands, remember, top nation goes through to the World Cup in 2026. The second nation will go into a second, I don't know, maybe the top 4, the best second place team, something like that. So basically, it is very tight to get yourselves through to the World Cup, but at least top 2, top number 1 spot, you're through, and it does look good for Egypt at the moment. So they're top bins right now in Group A, as are Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo in second spot, but Senegal all the way down to 3rd at the minute. It doesn't look good for Senegal. We've yet to taste defeat, goodness gracious me. Into Group C, South Africa look good to qualify for the first one in a long time. Nigeria struggling right now, and again, need to start ramping up a little bit because we need them in the World Cup. We need these big boys in the World Cup. Meanwhile, Cape Verde currently ousting Cameroon at the moment and this is around about the halfway mark. So we'll see what happens in the second round of or the second half of this qualification phase. Cameroon yet to taste defeat, but needs some work to do at the moment. Into Group E, we go Morocco. They look fantastic. 4 wins out of 4. Of course, the team to stop right now. Nigeria are in second spot with Tanzania competing as well for second. Gabon just beaten Kenya, hot as the press, 2-1 win. They played their 6th match. And of course, Gabon looking good at the moment with only 1 defeat so far. So they look They could be there. Ivory Coast got work to do as well. Meanwhile, into Group G, Algeria coming out on top at the moment with 12 points. Mozambique giving them a run for the money. And Tunisia also yet to stay feet, as have Namibia. Wow, wow, wee, wow. Over in Group H. And then finally Ghana, kicking ass and taking names. Finally, 12 points for them ahead of Madagascar. So that's the situation we have ourselves over in Africa. We're going to go around the next round of games, and they're coming at you pretty thick and fast. So please bear with me as we take a little look at Africa. And these are the next round of games. And again, we're going to test my flag knowledge as we're going to test yours as well. So we're going to jump in the deep end, and we're going to start with Guinea-Bissau up against Burkina Faso. That's coming at you on Monday, the 24th of March. So sit tight, hold on, and let's get into it. All right, then, folks, Guinea-Bissau up against Burkina Faso, coming at you over in Group A. That's right. Currently, Burkina Faso are in second spot right now. 4 wins the last 6 matches, 67% form. Up against Guinea-Bissau, who are fourth with 6 points and haven't won in the last 7 matches. They played Burkina Faso twice since 2017, and they've yet to win. Burkina Faso coming into this on the back of a 1-1 draw when these two sides last played in November 2023. It was a 1-1 draw in Burkina Faso. Last time they played in Guinea-Bissau was a 2-0 win for Burkina Faso. At the moment, of course, the visitors on the back of a 4-1 win over Djibouti. Guinea-Bissau on the back of that 3-1 loss to Sierra Leone. We do have basic odds on this one. Burkina Faso are fancied for the victory on this one. I think I'm going there as well. I'm going to go with the draw. That's right. Surprise, surprise. Again, Burkina Faso will be happy with that, but realistically, they want to push a little bit more for that top spot because remember, second place is not a guarantee. Let's go to Ethiopia now, shall we, as they take on Djibouti. That's right. Coming at you also on Monday, the 24th of March, over in Group A as well. Ethiopia just one win the last 6. They're on 17% form. They're all the way down to 5th right now. Djibouti, they're rock bottom, 6th in the table, just 1 point for the campaign. But coming into this without a win in the last 7 matches. They have played Ethiopia just once since 2024. It was a 1-1 draw when, of course, these two sides played in the reverse fixture way back in June 2024. Ethiopia on the back of that 2-0 loss to Egypt. That was, of course, a home match as well. Meanwhile, Djibouti on the back of an away match, which was a 4-1 loss to Burkina Faso. The bookies will go with Ethiopia. They're fancy for the victory here. I'm going with a 1-0 win as well. I just think they're too good, and Djibouti are just too weak over in Africa at the moment. Let's get into it then, shall we? Egypt, of course, the major force to be reckoned with. They're coming at you in this match on Tuesday, the 25th of March. That's right. Ethiopia top of the pops right now, 13 points for the campaign, unbeaten in at least the last 6 matches, but I think it stretches all the way back to the last 9. Up against Sierra Leone, who are not bad form right now, 42% form, just 1 defeat in the last 4, but they haven't won any of the last 10 away, and this was going to be a difficult one for them to overcome. They played Egypt just the one time since 2023. It was the reverse fixture back in November. It was a 2-0 win for Egypt in Sierra Leone. Of course, coming into this, the Egyptians on the back of that 2-0 win over Ethiopia in Ethiopia, with Sierra Leone picking up a 3-1 win over Guinea-Bissau. The bookies will give it to Egypt again, powerhouse. They should be in the World Cup. I'm looking forward to seeing them in the World Cup when, of course, they qualify in the end. 3-0 win, job done. Egypt looking good at the moment. Sudan up against South Sudan in the Sudan derby. That's right. That's coming at you as well this coming match day. If I can find it on my old list here, there it is on the 25th of March, which is a Tuesday. Sudan against South Sudan, of course, only the second time they played in recent times, according to my data. This is over in Group B. Sudan, though, 42% form for them. Just 1 defeat in the last 5. However, they've drawn 3 of that last 5. Up against South Sudan, who coming into this on 17% form, just 1 win in the last 6, and they lost 5 of that last 6. And they played Sudan in the reverse fixture back in June. It was a 3-0 win for Sudan way back in 2024, of course. South Sudan on the back of that 1-0 loss to DR Congo. It's back-to-back games now without a goal for the visitors. Meanwhile, did I say visitors? Yeah, they are the visitors. Meanwhile, Sudan coming into this on back-to-back 0-0 draws, and they haven't scored in the last 3, but they have picked up cheeky draws against Angola and Senegal in recent times. The bookies, we've got no odds on this one, surprisingly. This is going to be a tricky one to call, but I am going to go with it. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. Of course, it is a bit of a derby, of course, local affair, and that's over in Group B. Let's kick it on forward, and I think it's Mauritania here. They're taking on the DR Congo. That's right, coming at you on, when are we looking at this? One's at Tuesday, the 25th of March. Mauritania are in 5th right now, just 2 points for the campaign, but they're unbeaten in the last 3. Up against DR Congo, who are 2nd. They're rocking 67% form for them, and they've won 4 of the last 6. They played Mauritania 4 times since 2014, 4 wins out of 4, of course, including a 2-0 win in the reverse fixture back in November 2023. Of course, last time they played, though, in Mauritania, I don't even have a record of that. The hosts coming into this on the back of a 2-2 draw against Togo. The last time they were at home, it was a 1-0 win over Cape Verde back in November. The DR Congo, of course, last time they were on the road, they picked up a 1-0 loss to Guinea But they're coming into this on the back of that 1-0 win over South Sudan. The bookies, we don't have odds again on this one, which again, we go with my gut. I'm going to go with the visitors here, 2-1 win, DR Congo. They are a force to be reckoned with in Group B, but I think they might just be a little bit off it. To go the distance. Let's go Senegal then, shall we? Up against who they're taking on Togo. Let's get into this one then. Also on the 25th, Senegal coming at you third in the table, 9 points for the campaign. They are unbeaten in at least the last 11. They won 5 of that last 6. Up against Togo, who are 4th right now, 4 points over in Group B. Back-to-back games without a loss. They played Senegal 4 times in 2005. 1 win Senegal, nothing for Togo. There's been 3 draws, including the reverse fixture, 0-0 back in November 2023. However, last time I played in Senegal was a 2-0 win for Senegal way back in September 2021. The hosts at Senegal coming into this on the back of that 0-0 draw away to Sudan. Togo on the back of that 2-2 draw at home to Mauritania. Of course, the bookies will back Senegal. Of course, they will, as will I. 2-0 winners, Senegal taking advantage and looking good to close it in on top spot. Let's go then, shall we? Benin up against South Africa. That's right. I think it's in the same group. Also on the 25th of March. Actually, Group C. Benin coming into this on 58% form with just 1 defeat in the last 6. However, 3 draws on the spin right now. South Africa, though, unbeaten in the last 15 matches. They've won 3 on the spin. They're on 92% form for them over the last 6. And they're top bins over in Group C. Fantastic. Bafana. They've played Benin twice since 2004. That's 2 wins out of 2. And of course, including the reverse fixture, 2-1 win it was way back in November 2023. Benin on the back of that 2-2 draw against Zimbabwe. South Africa on the back of that 2-0 win over Lesotho. They've got 3 clean sheets on the spin up, South Africa. And of course, they are back on the road, though. Last time they're on the road, they picked up a 2-0 win over Uganda. The bookies will back them as well. It's a tight one in the bookies, but yeah, I think South Africa are destined to go to the World Cup. But I'm going for a draw here, guys. A 1-1 draw. Benin ain't no slouches. And of course, that'll put them in a bit of point to the bag against the Benin side, who are currently 2nd. Remember that they are 2nd. They ain't no slouches. And they are the draw kings. That's why I'm back in the draw. Let's go into the next one. It's Nigeria up against Zimbabwe, of course, coming at you also on the Tuesday. One of the earlier kickoffs, I think. Nigeria against Zimbabwe over in Group C. They are 4th in the table right now. Nigeria is just 6 points for the campaign, just 1 defeat in the last 6. Up against Zimbabwe, also 1 defeat in the last 6. They played 6 times since 2004. 4 wins to Nigeria, nothing for Zimbabwe. There's been 2 draws between the 2 sides, including the reverse fixture, 1-1 in Zimbabwe back in November 2023. The last time they played also at Nigeria was also a 0-0 draw. That was back in June 2019, with Nigeria's last victory will be all the way back in 2014 with a 1-0 win over Zimbabwe. That was in the African Cup of Nations knockouts, third round. The Nigerians, the Super Eagles, on the back of that 2-0 win over Rwanda. That was on the road. The last time they were at home, it was a 2-1 loss to Rwanda. That was in the AFCON qualifiers. Meanwhile, Benin on the back of that 2-2 away draw to Zimbabwe. The bookies are back in Nigeria, overwhelmingly so. They should win this one. And again, we want to see them in the World Cup. We want to see the powerhouses. 2-1 win. Nigeria to take it. Over in Group C. That's right. Meanwhile, let's get into the next one. It is Rwanda. It is Lesotho. And it is, of course, coming at you on... Where are we? Rwanda. I'm trying to find it. Lesotho. There we are. Coming at you also on the Tuesday. So over in Group C, Rwanda rocking 3rd in the table right now. 7 points for the campaign. 2 wins the last 6. Up against Lesotho, just 1 win the last 6. They are, of course, down in 5th with just 5 points. And they played with Rwanda just the 1 time. It was a reverse fixture back in June. It was a 1-0 win for Rwanda way back. Then 1-0 away win. Rwanda on the back of a 2-0 loss to Nigeria. That was back in the last match. That was the last at home as well. Meanwhile, Lesotho on the back of that 2-0 loss to South Africa. They haven't scored a goal in the last 2, conceded 9 in that last 2. The bookies don't even want to touch this one. I can't see it on the bookies odds. I'm going with a 1-1 draw on this one, sitting on the fence over in Group C. Let's kick on forward. It's Eswatini. Yes, that match has taken place. 3-3 finished in the end. Point to the bag. Let's move on to the next one. Angola against Cape Verde. That's coming at you on Tuesday the 25th of March. Of course, the games are all just all over the place. It's hard to keep up. Anyway, this is over in Group D. Angola looking good right now. Unbeaten in the last 15 matches. However, they've drawn the last 3 on the spin. They sit 4th in the table right now with just 7 points. Cape Verde on the flip side are tip at the top of the table right now with 10 points, but just won once in the last 5. They played each other twice in 2013. 1 for Cape Verde, nothing for Angola, and there's been 1 draw. The reverse fixture was that draw back in November 2023. Last time they've never played in Angola. And speaking of at home in Angola, last time they were at home, it was a 1-1. They picked up a 1-1 draw against Ghana. Cape Verde's last away match was a 1-0 loss to Mauritania. But they're coming into this on the back of a win. Angola coming into this on the back of 3 draws in a row. No bookies odds on this one, and I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Angola to really turn the screw here and maybe even challenge for top spot over in Group D. Let's go forward then against Cameroon, up against Liberia, or Libya, should we say. That's coming at you over in Cameroon on the 25th of March. Again, over in Group D, Cameroon rocking second in the table, unbeaten in the last 9 matches. They've won 3 and lost 3. Sorry, they've won 3 and they've drawn 3 of the last 6. Up against Libya, who are third in the table, 8 points for the campaign, unbeaten in the last 3, but back-to-back draws. And they're playing Cameroon 4 times since 2005. 2 wins Cameroon, 1 win for Libya, and there's been 1 draw. Last time around, of course, on the reverse fixture in Libya was a 1-1 draw way back in November 2023. The last time they played in Cameroon, it was a 1-0 win for Cameroon back in September 2013. It's actually been back-to-back 1-0 wins for Cameroon over Libya over the course of the record books. Coming into this, so Cameroon on the back of that 0-0 draw against Eswatini. Libya on the back of that 1-1 draw against Angola. The bookies will give it to Cameroon. They should fancy the victory here at home. Going to go with a 2-0 win as well. Guinea-Bissau for the next one. That is Nigeria against Eritrea. I think that game is not going to go ahead. I can't see it anywhere on my list. I'm just trying to lastminute.com scam. I think I also mentioned that at the start. So I'm all over the place here. But if it was to go ahead, I would have went with a 1-0 win for Nigeria. But I don't think it's happening. But we do know Morocco is going to take on Tanzania. That's a bit of a ding-dong classic. And of course, it's coming at you on the 25th of March. So let's look forward to that one over in Group E. Morocco look hot to bloody trot. They're unbeaten at least the last 11. Haven't lost any of the last 25 home matches. And they've won 6 on the bloody bounce. 12 points out of a possible 12. Tanzania, though, over in Group E as well. Third in the table, 6 points for the campaign. Back-to-back wins. And they played Morocco 4 times in 2013. 3 wins Morocco, 1 win for Tanzania. There's been no draws. Last time around, of course, the reverse fixture was a 3-0 win for Morocco. That was in the Africa Cup of Nations way back in January 2024. They also played in the World Cup qualifiers in Tanzania. It was a 2-0 win for Morocco in the reverse fixture way back in November. Morocco on the back of that 2-1 win over Nigeria. Tanzania, though, with a 1-0 win over Guinea to make it 1-2 clean sheets on the spin. Bookies will give it to Morocco. Of course they would. They are pretty much fantastic. 3-0 winners. Definitely a powerhouse and one to watch in 2026. Let's go to the next one. Kenya against Gabon. It is done. It is dusted. Unfortunately, my Kenyan boys did lose this game. It's over. 2-1 win. Gabon taking it to the house. Let's go to the next one. And we've got, what do we have? We have Ivory Coast against Gambia. Let's get into this one then. Bit of a spicy one coming at you over at on the 24th. It's Monday. Not long to wait for this one. Ivory Coast currently find themselves second in Group A with in F with 13 points. 4 wins in the last 6 up against Gambia, who are 5th right now. 4 points for the campaign. Just 1 defeat in the last 5. They have played Ivory Coast 3 times in 2013. 3 wins out of 3 for the host. That's right. They've already played each other. The reverse fixture in Gambia was a 2-0 win for Ivory Coast back in November 2023. The last time they played over in Ivory Coast, it was a 3-0 win for the hosts back in March 2013. Ivory Coast on the back of that 1-0 win over Burundi. They make it back-to-back clean sheets, scoring 5 goals in the last 2 games combined. Gambia, though, on the back of that 3-3 thriller against Kenya. The bookies are back in Ivory Coast. Of course they are. I'm going there as well. I'm going with a 3-0 win. Of course, a statement result over in Group F. Let's go to the next one. It is Burundi up against Seychelles. That's right. Coming at you. When is that? That's coming at you. Bloody hell. There it is. On the 25th of March. It's a Tuesday over in Group F as well. Burundi, third in the table. 7 points for the campaign. They are winless in the last 6 matches. Up against the Seychelles, who are 6th, yet to get going. No points on the board. And they've also unbeaten or winless in the last 11 matches. They played Burundi 5 times and lost each and every one of them, including the reverse fixture. 3-1 win it was for Burundi way back in June 2024. Last time they played in Burundi, it was a 2-0 win way back in October 2015. Goodness gracious me. The hosts, though, on the back of that 1-0 loss to Ivory Coast. They make it 1, 2, 3, 4 games without a goal, scoring just 1 goal in the last 6, Burundi. I mean, Seychelles, who are coming in on the back of that 3-0 loss to Gabon. They have scored goals for Seychelles. The last 4 matches, though, have been on the road. This will make it 5 on the road for the Seychelles as well. Goodness gracious me. They've actually played just 1 home match in the last 6. This will be 1 home match in the last 7. Bookies, they don't even want to go there. This is a toughie. Burundi haven't scored a goal. Seychelles have scored, but the form is absolutely woeful. 2-1 win going for Burundi to give them the bit of an upset, but we'll see about that. Let's go to the next one. And it's Botswana against Somalia. It's also coming at you this coming match day. That's on the 25th of March as well. Botswana coming into this on 50% form for them right now. 1-2 lost to and drawn to over the last 6. Just 1 defeat though in the last 5 up against Somalia. Winless in the last 10 matches. They're on 17% form. They're rock bottom with just 1 point over in Group G. Now played once these 2 sides. The reverse fixture, Botswana coming out on top with a 3-1 win over Somalia back in June. The hosts on the back of that 3-1 loss to Algeria. Meanwhile, Somalia on the back of that 0-0 draw against Guinea. They've been scoring a few goals as well. You know, over the last 4, what they got 2, 3, 4 goals scored in the last 3 games. So that's not too shabby by Somalia. Botswana, though, are they something else? They got a bit better form, just 1 defeat in the last 4. Bookie's not touching this one, I don't know. So I'm going to probably back the hosts here with a 1-0 win, just enough to get over the line, and a big 3-pointer over in Group G. Let's go into the next one. It's Uganda up against Guinea. That's right, coming at you as well. This match taking place, I believe, there it is, on the 25th of March, which is the Tuesday, again, over in Group G. Uganda, 2 defeats in the last 3 matches. However, 4 wins in the last 6. They are 5th, 6 points for the campaign. Up against Guinea, who've just lost once in the last 6, who are 3rd in the table currently in Group G. They played 3 times since 2014, 2 wins for Guinea, 1 for Uganda, and no draws. The reverse fixture, 2-1 win it was for Guinea way back in November 2023. The last and the only victory on the books, according to my data, for Uganda was way back in September 2014, but that match was last time they played at this country itself, Uganda. Uganda on the back of that 3-1 loss to Mozambique. Guinea did only draw against Somalia at home last time around. Bear that in mind. Bookie's not touching this one either. This was a bit of a tricky, sticky wicket, this one. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw right down the middle, which doesn't really do anyone any favours. Algeria next up out the blocks, up against Mozambique. Algeria, of course, one of the hot nations in the World Cup qualifiers over in Africa. They are currently top bins right now over in Group G with 5 wins in the last 6 matches. They've not lost in the last 8. And meanwhile, Mozambique coming into this on 75% form. They are 2nd and haven't lost any of the last 9 away matches. They played Algeria twice since 2023, but they have lost both of them, and they lost both of them without scoring a goal, of course, including a 2-0 win, the reverse fixture back in November 2023. Algeria on the back of that 3-1 win over Botswana. They've got 8 goals scored in the last 2 games. Mozambique, though, on the back of that 3-1 win over Uganda in the last match. The bookies will go with Algeria. They're hot to bloody trot on this one. They should win this game. 2-0 winners. They should be a class above, to be honest with you, over in the qualifiers. Let's get into the next one, and it is a decent-looking Namibia. They're up in action. Up against, who are they taking on? Namibia are taking on Equatorial Guinea. That match is also scheduled to take place coming Monday. That's right, the 24th. Namibia currently 2nd in the table, unbeaten the last 3 matches, 33% form for them over the last 6. Up against Equatorial Guinea, who are 5th, and just lost once in the last 6. And they're coming at you, playing Namibia just the once since 2023. I actually got a 3-0 win on our record. I'm not too sure when on earth that took place. I don't even know if that's a true result. It might even been a forfeited match on this one. But Namibia on the back of that 1-0 win over Malawi, back-to-back. In fact, they weren't beaten in the last 3. Haven't conceded a goal in that last 3. That's the Ryan Nyambe effect. Meanwhile, Equatorial Guinea on the back of that 2-0 win over Sao Tao and Principale. That was back on the 21st of March. I just think a couple of little messy results here for Equatorial Guinea, who were a decent shout for this one. Bookies quite find it tight. Could even be a draw here, guys. I think I'm going there as well with a 1-1 piece over in Group H. Let's kick it on forward, and it is Liberia up against Sao Tao Principale. That's coming at you also on Monday, the 24th of March. Liberia, 13th, 3rd in the table, 7 points for the campaign, 5 defeats in the last 6. Up against Sao Tao Principale without a win in at least the last 24 matches. They played Liberia just the once, and that was the reverse fixture. 1-0 win it was for Liberia at Sao Tao Principale way back in June 2024. The hosts on the back of that 1-0 loss to Tunisia. That was the first defeat. Actually, no, they've been on a pretty shit bit of form of late, haven't they? Meanwhile, the visitors on the back of that 2-0 loss to Equatorial Guinea most recently. The bookies give it to Liberia. They should win this one. Sao Tao Principale, again, one of the minnows in the African nations at the moment. Just going with the 1-0 win. Again, not too much expectation at the moment for Liberia on this one. Let's go into the next one, and it's Tunisia up against Malawi, of course. That's coming at you as well this match day. Tunisia looking good right now over in Group H, top of the pops, 13 points for the campaign, but they're coming into just 2 wins of the last 5. Up against Malawi, just 1 win over the last 3. They're 4th right now with 6 points for the table over in Group H. Played twice, these 2 clubs, or nations, should we say, 2004. 1 for Tunisia, nothing for Malawi, and there's been 1 draw. The reverse fixture, 1-0 winner was for Tunisia back in November 2023. They've yet to play it, according to my books, over in Tunisia. But the hosts on the back of that 1-0 win over Liberia, the last time Tunisia were at home, they did lose to Gambia. In fact, they've lost back-to-back at home after Tunisia. Those are in the AFCON qualifiers, but that might be something else. Meanwhile, Namibia did beat Malawi last time around, 1-0 win there. Last time Malawi were on the road, they picked up a 0-0 draw over at Burundi. The bookies will give it to Tunisia. Of course they will. They should do. 3-1 winners in my eyes. And of course, that's another step closer to qualification for Tunisia. Meanwhile, Central African Republic take on Mali, should we say, over on the 24th of March. This is over in Group I. Central African Republic, 6 defeats on the spin. In fact, looking pretty grim stuff. They're down into 5th right now, 4 points for the campaign. Mali, 92% form for them right now, unbeaten in the last 8. They've won 3 on the spin, and they're top of the pot. Not actually top of the pops. They're 4th. They're 4th over in Group I with 8 points. They played the Central African Republic just the once. It was the reverse fixture. It was a 1-1 draw back in November 2023 in Mali. Meanwhile, Central African Republic on the back of that 4-1 loss to Madagascar. It's, again, I don't even know how many defeats on the spin. They've only scored the 1 goal, though, in the last 6. That was in the last game. Mali, though, on the back of that 3-1 win over Comoros, they've scored 10 goals in the last 3, 9 in the last 2, and of course look hot to blue trot in this one. The bookies will go with Mali as well. They should do. Going to go with just a 1-0 win. What am I thinking? That's probably should be a 4-0 there, but I'll stick a 1-0 win just for giggles. Let's kick it on forward then, shall we, into the final couple. We've got Madagascar against Ghana. It's actually a more spicier game than you would imagine. That's over again on the 24th, which is tomorrow. They've played 5 times to 2015, 2 wins apiece and 1 draw. It is second place Madagascar. It is first place Ghana over in Group I. Of course, Madagascar, though, just 1 win in the last 6. Ghana also 1 win in the last 6. The reverse fixture was a 1-0 win for Ghana back in November 2023. The last time they played, though, in Madagascar was a 0-0 draw back in June 2023. Madagascar on the back of that 4 win over Central African Republic. Ghana put 5 past Chad last time around. This one's a tight one. The bookies are going with Ghana, but Ghana, if you've been following Ghana of late, they've been shit. They've been pretty shit. So I'm hoping they'll bounce back here. Of course, the Black Stars, we want to see them in the World Cup. They've been a bit shit, though, of late. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Ghana. And again, that should put them in command of Group I. And then we wrap it all up with a trip to Comoros. That's right, as Comoros take on Chad. That's right, coming at you on the 25th of March. Comoros are third in the table, 9 points for the campaign. Just 1 defeat, though, in the last 6. Up against Chad, they haven't won in the last 9 matches. They're 17% form. They played Comoros just the 1 time. It was the reverse fixture. It was a 2-0 win for Comoros in Chad back in June. Comoros, though, on the back of a 3-0 loss to Mali. Ghana, though, beating Chad most recently. They conceded 9 goals in the last 2 games, have Chad. And both of those games were on the road. And this one's also on the road. Mali, though, not in this game. I don't even know. Comoros' last home match was that 3-0 loss to Mali. That's what I'm trying to say. Bookies on this one. They give it to Comoros, I think, on this. I think I'm going there as well with a 1-0 win. Not big, not impressive, but just enough to get over the line. That's my predictions. Hopefully, you can still hear me. There you are. There I am. Hopefully, you can hear me. Hopefully, you can see me for the World Cup qualifiers over in Africa. We'll bring you bang up to date with the tables when we come back again for this. But until then, subscribe, smash the like, catch you later. We're done.